The Storyteller sounded like a really interesting film. I discovered this because Doris Roberts is in it, and it sounded great. And it does address a really important topic, and it shows a lot of different opinions about this, which I'll talk about in a moment. But I found the execution of the narrative to be really slow, really not very interesting at all. There are a few good moments that are quite powerful, but in general, it was just a little bit mundane. This was released in 1977. It's directed by Robert Markowitz, written by Richard Levinson and William Link, and we have a cast including Martin Balsam, Paddy Duke, and of course Doris Roberts. And this is about a screenwriter who wrote this particular scene for this TV show. And we find out, eventually, it takes a long time, but we find out that a young boy watched this and copied it. I'm not going to say what it is, I won't spoil it, but it's something that ended in tragedy. And there is the question of, is the television show responsible? And by extension, is the writer responsible? And that's basically what the film addresses. And I'm not going to say whether the film takes one position or the other about who is responsible, but it does present a lot of different opinions. Needless to say, some people think that, yes, television is responsible. And of course, some people think the opposite, and I think it's generating a really important discussion. I'd say particularly at the time when television's becoming more popular, more accessible, but absolutely today I think this conversation, several decades later, is still, maybe even more so now, really, really important. Does television have a responsibility in not delivering stories that people could copy from? By extension, we also have video games, books, basically anything. If it puts the idea in somebody's head to do something horrible or to commit a crime or to be in a dangerous situation, is it their fault? And my opinion is that no, it isn't. But I'm not going to say what position the film takes, but I will say that I think that part of it was very well handled. I think they did a good job of presenting this message and of presenting this theory that television could be responsible and showing us different perspectives and different opinions, but everything around about that I just found to be very slow, very boring. There wasn't a lot of emotion in this film either, considering something tragic has happened. And also, if somebody came to me, and I'm speaking as a writer, I don't write TV shows, that would be amazing, but I don't, I write novels. If somebody said to me, something happened, something tragic happened because somebody copied something in one of my books, I would have so many emotions, and I just wasn't getting that from the film. There wasn't a lot of emotion, there wasn't a lot of action, there wasn't a lot of intensity. It was just really, really flat. So the actual execution isn't great, but I do think the bits specifically where there are dialogues about what has happened and about responsibility or lack thereof, those are very well done moments. But everything else is just a little slow. So it's not a great film. I think it's a very good concept. I don't think it's very well executed. Do I recommend it? If you're interested in this topic, then yes, because it is interesting to hear these different perspectives. If you're just looking for an enjoyable story, something where maybe you can have a strong emotional response, I don't think this film is going to be worth it because it just didn't deliver. But you might enjoy it more than I did. I still applaud it for tackling quite a challenging concept. And I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. I think if somebody wants to hold television responsible, I think they're allowed that belief. But at the same time, if somebody says television isn't responsible, people are responsible for their own actions, and most people can watch violence or dangerous acts on television without replicating it, I think is also a very valid argument. So an interesting concept, not very well executed. If you're really interested in the topic, give it a watch. Otherwise, I'd say you're probably not missing out on much. All things considered, The Storyteller is a pretty average film.